It will do what they call, so a legal hold, so this is another piece of new terminology. And so what a legal hold says, we're being sued, or there's a case that's, that's going into court, and we need to make sure that all of this information, and they have these search query parameters, this information cannot be destroyed, even if it's time for it to have normally gone through its destruction. So remember when I said a records manager will go through and do something like every year, every 6 months. They are then tasked with this assignment to say, so basically general counsel or the legal department will send out to the records managers, these are the types of documents that need to be held. So they need a way, this is actually kind of nice, really. I mean, this makes it a little bit easier. We need a way for the technology to say, even if I hit the delete button, don't let me do it, right? That's what a hold allows you to do. Even if it's ready to be deleted, even if a records manager says that it can go, the system will say no. So destruction, if I'm a records manager and I'm doing it on paper, I basically am kind of looking at a filing cabinet or a file drawer or something, and I'm looking at a contract date or whatever, and I'm saying, hey, this contract is 7 years old, and I put it in a shredder. That sounds really easy, doesn't it? Why would we want to change that? Because in SharePoint, we have to create a content type called contract, and then we have to assign it an information management policy of some date. Which date do you want? You're going to have to create a new date, because created by isn't going to help. If you're migrating, modified date is going to be wrong. You're going to have to create a new field called contract date, make it required, right? So now you have a contract content type, a required date field, an information management policy that says required date plus 7 years equals destruction. So content type plus information management policies plus some sort of an automated workflow that says that every 6 months or whatever it is, or when a project ends, we start off this workflow that then allows us to put these things into its retention. Now here's the issue. Think about some of these retention dates, right? So, because to me, there's a lot of parallels, I think, between like people's opinions of records management and like people's opinions of like environmentalism, right? Because it's like, oh, sure, oil's going to be gone in 40 years. What do I care? I'm 60 years old. I don't have to worry about it. Well, some of these records managers are dealing with similar types of things. Some of these retentions are this, like the sale of an asset. So think about an oil rig, right? We sell a piece of equipment that we owned on that oil rig. That could be 50 years from now. And then we need to keep it another 30 years after that. So there are some 30-year retention periods, people. I'm not kidding. We just, as SharePoint people, like this concept is just really difficult for us, because we know you're not going to be here on this SharePoint 2010 in 30 years, are you? But these are the things we got to think of. From a legacy perspective, we really need to encourage companies, in my opinion, to look at, does this kind of record belong in SharePoint based on its retention rules. I say put anything in SharePoint you want to that's gonna have a retention of, let's say, 3 to 5 years, right? Anything else, I really say you gotta think about that. You gotta think through that. We can still have the interface be in SharePoint or the portal be in SharePoint, but are you really gonna pay for SQL storage for 80 years? Is SQL storage even going to be relevant in 80 years? I don't know. I